I'm here today at Rag & Co. We're running our FCA Consultation on the new payment systems regulator. And I'm here with John Segal, who's the director in the banking and finance team.
That's correct.
So John, how do you think the new payment systems regulator will impact the existing industry?
Well, I really think it's going to shake up the industry, which is a really positive thing. I think we're going to see some new entrants to the market, and I really feel that we're going to see some real movement in the different forms of payment system providers that can come to the market now that this new regulation is coming to the fore.
That's interesting. So your take is that there'll be new payment systems providers rather than access for new entrants into the industry to the existing payment systems.
Yeah, I think there will be new providers and more access. I think it's going to cover both areas, which we're very excited about.
Okay, thank you very much, John.
Okay, you're welcome.
Magnus, how critical is identity to payments?
Identity plays a critical part in the payments process, not just for regulation, but to be able to give consumers control over the payments that they're making into the system and provide some kind of accountability after the event.
So how important do you think the payment system regulator will be to the innovation scene?
I think it's going to be incredibly important for the regulator to make sure that not only they ensure quality within the payments process within the UK, but also they allow for innovation. And to get that balance wrong will stifle innovation and give us a less competitive place in a global marketplace.
How do you think payments is changing?
I think payments is changing dramatically. The amount of money that can be charged just for moving the money is decreasing month on month. Companies are trying to figure out how to make more money from moving money around, and I think a key to that needs to be in understanding the endpoints of those transactions. For me, that's where identity plays a large part, because in understanding the consumer and understanding the data about them and having trust in that data is a crucial part to leveraging value from the payments process.
Okay, thank you very much, Magnus. We have John Chaplin, who's been kicking around the payments industry for quite some time, very familiar with the regulators, very familiar with the scene. So John, let me ask you firstly, what challenges do you think the new payment systems regulator faces?
Lady, I think it's an interesting challenge that the payment system regulators have got here. I mean, firstly, I think I welcome it. I think payments is hugely important for any economy. So efficient payment schemes are really, really important. As you start to regulate an industry, I think they've got to get it right. If they try to over-regulate, I think that actually can drive out innovation and not help innovation. So I think they've got to prioritise what they are trying to regulate, but it's getting the big things right first.
What are the main issues that they face?
Well, I think there are two or three things that I'd pick on. The first one is that Visa and MasterCard, two great organisations, global organisations that have a huge role to play in any national payments environment, but they are unregulated. It would be a pretty good idea if they were to come under the spotlight of the regulator. They do some great things. I think they do some things that are not so great in the interest of the industry. For example, they're supposed to have separated their infrastructure from their payment scheme. Just about everybody else did it in Europe. These guys don't want to do it. The regulators should make sure that that happens. I think they've done a great job in terms of allowing non-banks to join, which is what everybody would like to see. But some of their other business practices, like paying incentives to large banks, I think are very, very unhealthy. So I think it's inevitable for them that they are going to be regulated, and I think that's a key area for the payment system regulator. The second area is, and as I deal with payment innovation companies, a lot of them want to use things like faster payments and backs. Those are the logical alternatives to using a card scheme. And access to those is really very difficult. It's difficult to become a member or to get access to them, and certainly to get access at an affordable price. So if you want to build, let's say, one of these whizzy mobile services, how are you going to make the payment? Well, you probably want to use a faster payment, and what you'll discover is that you can't get a price at anything like the price of a large bank. Contrast that with South Africa, where everybody would get that transaction at a broadly similar price. So a much, much easier environment to innovate in.
So, John, how does Europe factor into this new regulator in the UK?
There's a lot of work being done by the European Union in terms of regulating payments. So I think the FCA gets responsibility for implementing some of it, but I don't think they're actually truly masters of their own destiny. And one important area that we're going to see is the EU is very keen that third parties have access for services to bank accounts, which means that in future you might get transactions moving in and out of bank accounts which the bank doesn't control. So clearly they need to be licensed, and today they're unlicensed, and they need to be regulated. And that's key. But I think if we get both of those things in place, we're going to see more possibilities for innovative products. So you might, for example, here in the UK, see a Tesco debit card accessing your RBS bank account. Now that's something you couldn't get today, but it's something that the Europeans are going to do. And if they do it, the FCA is going to have to implement that. So we can sit here and debate what we'd like to do at a UK level, but I think we also have to see it in context of what's going on in Europe. And there are some good things that come out of Brussels as well as some things that people don't like.
Okay, thank you very much. Corinne, how do you feel the session's going?
I think this is a great idea and a very innovative idea as well. It's great to bring some sort of big minds together as well from very sort of different spheres to get people's opinions and to collaborate and to sort of come up with ideas that you're obviously taking back to the FCA and voicing with them.
So Corinne, how's the new payment systems regulator, how does it fit into what KPMG are doing at the moment?
Well, basically, within our team at the moment, we're working in Shoreditch. We're working with a lot of startups, high-growth companies. We're also working with accelerators. And a number of companies that we're coming across, and particularly sort of accelerators based on this idea, are fintechs. So this new FCA regulation has been sort of a hotly debated subject so far, and it's just a structure that when we can advise startups and high-growth companies within the fintech scene on what they should be doing and how they should be acting, and then within sort of the big KPMG mothership back at Canary Wharf. With regards to that, then this is what KPMG is sort of known for, is in the financial sort of institutions as a sort of advisor, auditor, tax provider. So it is very applicable to our company and what we do.
What's been a really key learning of this session for you?
It's good to know that the FCA is so forward-thinking, that we have one of the best governing bodies that is taking into account what is actually happening in the market at the moment, and then is also speaking directly with the community to get an opinion on what they should be doing and how they should be regulating the environment. So I think that's sort of a key learning that's come out of this, that actually the FCA are no longer this regulatory body who sit apart from everyone else, but actually they're this transparent interface that we can communicate with. And I think that's sort of great to see.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.